Good morning and welcome to Sunday Coffee. Joining me today is absolutely no one. It's just me, myself. We're going to do a little monologue Sunday. We're going to be talking about the struggling through adversity. I'm your host, Dr. Dan Ford, and this is EchelonOrchid.
Guess who's back?
Good morning, everyone. Hope you've got your nice cup of coffee. I'm drinking some Bones coffee this morning. Love Bones coffee. When the pandemic hit, we decided that we were going to get into a much healthier lifestyle. Regardless of any of the different political things out there, and whether or not you believe in what one side of the aisle says or the other. What I do know is that getting more positive, getting healthy, getting some exercise, eating right is always a good thing. And so one of the things that we wanted to do was, since I was cutting out a lot of carbs, I mean, basically, I think I've essentially gone carnivore, which has really helped me get my energy back. And, helping to lose weight. It probably doesn't hurt the fact that, just doing jujitsu, 3 times a week, plus doing some stuff here at home. So it probably helped out quite a bit. But anyway, Bones Coffee, really enjoyed it. They've got some unique flavors, and they're just kind of funny. Like the one during Halloween was called Peaches and Scream. So they got some funny stuff. I think my favorite might be the Highland Bog one. Anyway, I don't even know which one I'm drinking. Doesn't matter. But anyway, I wanted to start this off a little bit today as we talk about leadership. How we lead ourselves through struggling times is extremely important. It's also how we lead the people that we are charged with, that we're honored with leading, is extremely important. I don't think anything in life, I put in the show comments, just like the late great Tupac. I don't want it if it's that easy. And I think I said, I don't think this is what he was talking about, but I think it applies. Anything in life that's just easy, it's just simple. One, you're going to take for granted. I don't think you're going to consider it an achievement. I want the struggle. And TK has been on before. We've talked about embracing the grind, and you have to. People are different. We're different. Every day we wake up, we should be a little bit different. Hopefully, for the better instead of the worse. But during that struggle, I think probably one of the bigger reasons for the struggle, why I think it's important, I think a lot of times as leaders we wind up getting a God complex, and we need to get ourselves checked every once in a while. Hopefully you've got some people in your life that can kind of check you. And the reason why I say it like that is we're used to making decisions. Many times we get caught up in that I'm the boss. That's the worst thing I think anyone can do. As if you are continuing in that leadership mindset, you work for them. You're trying to get your people in a position to succeed. And the only thing that you should be known for is making a good decision when it was necessary. Hopefully your people are making good decisions and you've put them in power to do so. But that you've picked the right team to do it. And lastly, that you put those people in a place to succeed. In order to do that, you had to give them the right tools and resources. But we get caught up in this aspect of, hey, I'm in charge. I become infallible. We make how many great decisions in a row, and therefore we don't ever second guess ourselves. And we don't allow room for others to second guess. So that humbling piece. And I talked about on the show on Wednesday that I was going for belt promotion in jiu-jitsu this past Saturday, or at least was hoping to. That adversity really was reflecting yesterday that, Monday, I was rolling with this guy and he wasn't listening for the verbal tap. I was caught in a position and, hey, it happens. I mean, I've been humbled quite a bit through doing jujitsu. And I don't think it's not in a bad way. I think it's great, to be working with a bunch of other people, working with people that when you would look at them, oh, well, this person, they can't do anything to me. And then you get folded up like a pretzel. I think it's great, because I'm going, wow, if this person that looks like they're weaker than I am, and they could fold me up like a pretzel, well, then eventually I should be able to do that to other people too that are much bigger than me. I'm not the biggest of people. I mean, about 5'10", right now, about 185 pounds, because I'm down 35 pounds since doing jiu-jitsu and this carnivore diet. But we'll get back. So that Monday, I got hurt. I tried doing class on Wednesday. I knew it was going to be a lighter class, and that we don't tend to practice for the white belt stuff. And I just did what I could do to see like what's going on. It was shoulder really stiff. Thankfully, my partner was the missus at that point, because she's tiny, so that we don't have to worry about that. If it was my current regular training partner and Jacob, it would have been very, very difficult. He is a solid guy like this. He's in the National Guard, and he is just I think he's like 220 pounds of muscle, or at least that's what it feels like. He's just a solid guy, bigger than I am. So pushing him around, that's not easy. He throws me around like a rag doll most times, which, hey, that's fine. So I got hurt. I don't know if I'm going to do this on Saturday. So what did I do? Well, I think the first thing, anytime you're struggling, but I'm going to tell you the struggle about this, and I think how it can apply to really any situation. Do what you can. That's the first thing. You've got a situation that's going on, and so break down what it is that that you can do to perform at your best, and whatever your best might be. I don't necessarily like the cliche that, losers go on about giving it their best. No, if you're not giving it your best 100% of the time, sometimes our 100%, like that cup, my cup today might not be as big as it was yesterday, because I'm struggling. And so this week I was struggling. But what did I do? Called my chiropractor and got on the books. Called Nicole at Cryo Edge Elite, I think is what her company is called, which is here in Elkhart. Is great. I mean, I'll plug her because she is amazing. I think it's called Cryo Edge Elite Performance and Health over in Elkhart. Love it. She's got a cryotherapy tank, and so if you're not familiar with that, I've kind of talked about it. I'm getting in there at negative 171 degrees. That's negative. I don't think there's a place on earth that's that cold. We only do it for about 3 minutes, and get in that mental state. You can do negative 171 degrees for 3 minutes. I think you could pretty much do just about anything for 3 minutes. So I did that. She also has this other device that I don't know exactly what it's called, but it helps to stimulate. I was doing cupping, and I did it all the way up. I didn't really participate in class on Friday. I went there just to watch, and I think that's another big part. Like, sometimes you just have to observe. There's a reason why they have this OODA loop: observe, orient, decide, act. So when I was just observing, but then you got to observe yourself. So we'll go back. Hey, I'm doing chiropractor, that is, doing massage, getting cryotherapy done, using the device Nicole has. I've got ice going on. I've got cupping going on, stretching. Well, I told our coach Rich, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to go. Like, we'll see. Like that, on Thursday night, I couldn't lift my arm, above my shoulder. It still kind of hurts, but so Friday night, all right, I need to make a decision. My decision was I'm going through with this. Now, how? So we got the 14-year-old who's about 170 pounds. I'm like, hey, big guy, I need to see if I can roll. I need to see if I can do this. I got to see if I can go through the full program. And I need, and from the beginning, it was just, let's see if I can actually do a hip toss. Let's see if I can do some of the things, because I'm going to have to lift this arm. Mainly because it's more instinctual for me to use this arm from some of the throws. And then if I had to, I would just have to think about it more. It wouldn't be as instinctual, but I can do it opposite. But I kind of know that the way in which this test day goes, you need to be on your instincts. You don't have time to think. So, all right, let's see what I can do. I'm like, all right, it's sore. I can do it. Now I need to see if I can roll. Rolling part, for those who don't know, that's where you're wrestling essentially with someone that's trying to kill you, or at least that's what it feels like. It's like, all right, big guy, we gotta roll. We circled through. Family just rolled with me. I'm like, all right, look, everyone, just like give me like 10% here for a moment. See what it feels like. I'm all right, feel good. All right, let's bump this up to like 50%. All right, go full throttle. And part of that was, and again, they're in a struggle. How are you going to operate? Now, I had a game plan, because I knew in this test, you roll at the end, you roll with every single person that showed up and did the workout side of it. All right, I need a strategy. Like, what am I going to do? Because I've got an injury and I'm gonna work through it. So I had a game plan. I felt like I stuck with my game plan pretty well, which was for me to like, all right, I'm gonna try and do everything I can to get in the half guard. And my half guard every single time, I want to be laying on this shoulder, because then it's a brace. Like, this is the one that I would have to use for any type of strength. I don't have to. This one can be like a dummy arm at that point, because it's basically like that. That wasn't even the worst part. I was more concerned about the actual warm up, which I don't know. I think it was like 30 minutes. And that's the big part. You're talking about embracing that grind and that struggle. So now I know I'm hurt. Now I feel like I'm pretty good. Like, going in Saturday, I'm like, all right, I'm just a little bit sore. I got this. So start to warm up. Hey, perfectly fine. We're just running. I already knew right ahead. This is about surviving through the onslaught. It's not about being the best. There's some of the young men and women that are there. They are 20 years younger than me and extremely fit. I am neither 25 and I'm not as fit as I would like. But I'm not competing against them. I'm competing against me. This is about what I'm doing. And that's another, I think, extremely important lesson for everyone, in that you should not compare yourself to others. You're not competing with others, at least from an individual perspective. It's about competing with your future self. So I knew this day was going to come. So I went to the warm up, and Professor Croyler just one of the other guys that was testing, who's a really, really nice guy, but I'm gonna have to tell him, hey, look, dude, when we're testing, don't talk trash to to the professor, because I think he decided, all right, fine, this isn't tough enough. Well, we're gonna make it tougher. And eventually I made it through. And then so I made it through. And that was the most important thing. If you don't quit and you keep moving forward, and that's anything in life, quitting is when you decide you've had enough and you're just packing up, going home. I don't mean that you're coming back the next day. Like, sometimes you got to lose the battle in order to win the war. But to me, like, failure is you gave up. As long as you're not giving up, you're still winning. Doesn't matter what the other person's doing. Stop. And I find this with a lot of companies. They really want to focus on their competitors. I don't think people who truly have a winning mindset focus on their competition. They focus on themselves. And it was really difficult for me to find like a true example of someone that didn't want to focus on their competitor. I always believed it. I said that, they should be worried about us, not us about them. Even when it comes to sports, I feel like many times people overemphasize the competition. And then I read Hickson Gracie's biography, Breathe, and he actually said that same thing. So I felt like, oh, I've been saying this for so long, and if a great person like that can say, hey, I'm not worried about tape, I'm going to get in there, and then I'm just going to feel how the flow is going, and I'm going to react, and then put pressure on them in my own way. Well, I think that's the way you have to do everything in life. Focus on you and your team and the things that are important to you. So made it through. It's a struggle, but that is another lesson for what I believe to be in life and in business. Be comfortable in being uncomfortable. Once I started, when I got there on Saturday, there's no quitting isn't an option. I'm going to keep going. It's going to be hard. I knew it was going to be hard. Just don't quit. And it was a very interesting thing that the Professor Croyler had said in there, which was, hey, everyone here that showed up, you can take as many breaks as you want, except for Jacob, Warren, and Dan. You can't give up. If you stop, you're done. Well, I didn't stop. I just kept going, kept moving forward. It took me a lot longer to do some of those burpees than I would have liked to. But anyway, I did it. So getting back to that, being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Change is certain in business, for sure, in life. And if you're not willing to embrace change, to embrace struggle, then of course you're never going to be comfortable in being uncomfortable. You're going to sit back and wait for life to happen to you. And I really believe you have to make life happen. I believe in business, you have to make business happen. There is this interesting article I was reading this week, and it's about default bias. So essentially, it is we value what we are currently doing. We overvalue what we currently are doing or currently have than what an alternative option, which may be better for us. And one of the pieces that they looked at was about potentially taking a new job. In that if you feel neutral about, well, I should stay or I could go, then you should just go because you've overvalued your current situation. I think we can look at this in just about anything. When we take a look at potential options, if we are neutral, then we should choose the option that we don't currently already have. Because again, we're going through that default bias. Making any decision, I truly believe, is better than a no decision. Now, there was something that was going through in social that, well, no decision is a decision. Well, it is, as long as it's mindful. I believe that if you're delaying the decision, that's very, very bad because it weighs on you. Everything starts to pile up, and that's why it's called pig piling. Hey, you put one feather on you, it's not really a big deal. What if you laid 1 billion feathers on you? I'm not entirely sure how much a feather weighs, but I would have liked to imagine 1 billion feathers probably weighs a lot more than 100 pounds, but I could be wrong. Probably something we could look up. So each decision that we delay in making puts weight on us. It's part of what causes, I believe, a lot of stress in our life. So if you just make the decision, then the aperture of the earth will eventually change for you. So then you just pivot, or maybe you don't have to pivot because it was the right decision. Especially when it comes to things that aren't that significant. We want to save our energy for important decisions. Smaller, this is not that I'm a huge fan of Steve Jobs, and I may be one of the few technology people that's not. I just never really thought he was at this level that people put him on. But one of the things that he did was say, because I know I can only make so many decisions in a day, I'm just not going to decide what I'm going to wear. So every day it's going to be the same thing, basically. He just bought, 100 black turtlenecks and, black pairs of pants, I guess. So he didn't have to worry about making that decision. He's like, I'm just not going to deal with it. I'm often asked, well, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? I'm like, I'm not in charge of that. Like, don't, I don't even want to make an opinion. If I go to a restaurant, I would have to, then of course, but if it's at home, I'm just not going to do it. Because I think we only have so many good decisions that we can make. So the things that are not very significant don't spend very much time. That's difficult for people to understand. Well, I still have to make this decision. Don't spend any time on it. Put a time frame on all things that you consider significant decisions and not so significant. So what's an example of a significant decision? Well, maybe you're talking about a merger acquisition, which I don't really know why they call it merger and acquisition. I don't think there's a such thing as a merger. I think it's basically an acquisition, because one of you is going to belong to the other company. So acquisition. I think you got to think a lot about whether or not you're going to acquire that company or not. There's a lot involved, and the statistics show 2/3 of all acquisitions fail. 2/3. I don't know if I feel like I'm in that top third of people who can make a good decision about an acquisition. And besides, like when you acquire something, you don't know, like especially if it's when you're talking about a company, you don't know if their culture is really the same as yours. They may be vastly. What if they're toxic and you're a positive energy company and they're toxic? You know what it's going to do to your current positive energy company? It's not going to go well. Not going to go well at all. I've seen it happen too many times. You want to spend a lot of time on it. You want to spend a lot of time on whether or not you want to get married. I think you should spend even more time determining whether or not you want to get divorced. And in any of those cases, no matter what big decision might be for you or small decision, set a date, set a time. I'm going to make this decision by the end of the day. I'm going to make this decision by the end of the year. Whatever it might be, set a date and then stick to it. Don't talk yourself out of it. Who knows what could happen next? But if you keep on the same path, that default bias aspect, you're going to keep getting the same results. It's interesting to me the amount of folks that do just want to stay, that they become comfortable. Yeah, comfortable is the word I want to use. They're content. When I go to a zoo and I take a look at these apex predators in there, sure, they could still kill me, but I don't know if they would. They're comfortable. They don't have to hunt. They've lost it. They are now content. They're comfortable. They're safe. They don't have to fight. There's no struggle. Without struggle, I don't think you can grow. I can't think of anything that requires growth that doesn't require struggle. Yeah. You struggle to learn how to walk. When we think about from how we just develop, how many times does an infant fall when they're learning to walk? How many times, even when they're walking, it looks like they're just wobbling, and eventually they're gonna get there. All the time. So it doesn't matter what animal it is. They they struggle. They got to struggle for food. They got to struggle to find food. They got to struggle to be safe. They got to struggle to continue to be safe. We, I believe, as humans, it's far too easy for us to just be comfortable, be content, and therefore you stop growing. That's why I'm certainly glad that I made that decision to start jiu-jitsu. I'll be 47 this year, and I certainly never thought I would be picking up another martial art. I thought I would probably just stick to getting back to my internal Chinese systems of finding another Bagua teacher and continuing along that. It's interesting that I'm not quite too sure. I mean, I know they call it a martial art. There's not a whole lot of martial aspect to it. I mean, it's probably could be along with something, but I don't know if I would consider it a combat art. No, not that it matters. But anyway, I enjoyed it because I was able to still stay fit, and it was really in touch with how I was functioning and my energies and posture, things like that, which I certainly love, and especially learning how to breathe, continuing to focus on my breath is probably a better way of saying it. Which I do, qigong exercises is what that's called. I definitely need to incorporate, qigong back into my jiu-jitsu training or alongside it. I think it will certainly help when I'm struggling with rolling, because there's everyone pretty much at the studio is a lot better than what I am. But that's okay. That struggle is going to get better. I think we can all be better if you just choose. It's a choice. I tell my folks I'm looking for 2% growth, 2% improvement month over month. If you do that in the course of 1 year, you will have improved by approximately 26%. 2% is not a big number. And I didn't come up with 2% out of the air. There was a study that we looked at while I was doing my MBA at the best university in the world, the University of Michigan. Go Blue. And we read this one case study, and it was about this this company that was associated with one of the electric companies in California. And what they were looking to do was reduce the amount of the consumption of electricity in California. And so what they started doing was putting out there like how much more or less energy you're using than your neighbors. And they wound up seeing a 2% reduction. That 2% reduction was like, I think they said it was like taking Spain off the grid for an entire year by just 2%. If you were to take off from anywhere and you are flying, right, let's say, flying to Singapore, that's your destination, but you're off by 2%. Well, that 2% over time builds up. And so if their flight path was off by 2%, they're not hitting Singapore if they kept along that path. I mean, hopefully they would course correct, but let's say they didn't. They're just like, all right, this is the path we're taking, and they got off by 2%. You're not hitting Singapore. This is the power of small, manageable, incremental changes that continue along the path to whatever your goal is. It's manageable. You're still going to struggle. 2%, by keeping that persistence of I'm going to make 2% improvement month over month, it's still going to be hard. You're going to have every excuse in the book as to why you should not do that. Well, I've got family, I've got friends, I've got this stuff going on at work. There's another project. Ooh, that reminds me of something with that. Okay, so let's say you're going to take on something. You've been asked to take on something. Doesn't matter what it is. Now, imagine yourself getting a phone call a couple of days later and saying whatever it was that you were asked to do is no longer there. We'll make the easier one for a moment. You've got a friend calls you up and says, "Hey, I'm moving on Saturday. I'd really need some help. Can you help me out?" And you say, most likely, a lot of us, okay, sure. And they call you up on Friday and they say, "Hey, I no longer need any help, but thanks." If you feel completely relieved, or in any way that it was like, "Oh, thank you, I don't have to do this now," then you were only going to do that through essentially, feeling like you were obligated through social pressure. Now take that, even a project at work. And I think this makes it really super easy to determine whether or not this project should be a project or not. That same thought process. You're asked to lead or be a part of this project. A couple of days later, you're told the project has been canceled. If you can think to yourself what and how you would react to that, if you would react with, "Oh, good," well, then that project should never have even been a project in the first place. We take on way too many things. And many studies would reveal, even if you have a top 10 things that you want to get done this year, you're likely only going to get 3 done, and it's going to be your top 3. So why do we focus on all these other things? I don't think we should. And this gets back into that aspect of how much energy we put out on making decisions. If we have 10 things that are looming over us, and the studies that are out there say we're only really going to accomplish 3, then why do we keep having these other 7 hanging over our head? I personally don't. I don't set out to try to accomplish 10 things in a year. Most of the things that I try to accomplish is going to take a year for me to do anyway. So there's only so many things that I can accomplish in any given year that takes that long. We're not talking about like making dinner or, anything along those lines. We'll go back to jiu-jitsu for a moment. For my belt promotion, it was, 8 months, I think 7 or 8 months. Well, I couldn't do something else that also takes 8 months because think about how many hours in the day there are, and that's not possible. There's just not many of the things that we look to try to do are not going to get done. We put it on a list, and eventually all those things just build up over time. So get rid of them. Just stop. It's not worth the energy consumption, because you're going to need that energy for something else. And you need some of that in the reserve. Our brain is very, well, it's not just odd to me. I think it's odd to even the scientists. It does a lot to preserve our energy, because we're still fighting against our nature of, there might be a saber-toothed tiger right there, and we're going to have to defend ourselves. And so you better not use up all that energy. And then we continue to focus on that there is a saber-toothed tiger. That negative consequence of us dying forces us to do a lot of weird things. What's really going to kill us? There's no real animal. I mean, unless we put ourselves directly in harm's way. I mean, humans may also kill each other, but we don't really struggle to find food. The grocery stores are everywhere. We just go there, pick up. Well, I think I'm going to take this slab of beef, or however many vegetables, which I'm not eating anyway. You just go to the store and pick it up. So what are you struggling for there? I don't think you're struggling for anything. So you got to find something that's worth struggling for in order to help you with your growth. This is probably a big reason why I continue trying to do so many other degrees and things of that nature. Eventually, maybe I'll go back and get a law degree, just trying to fill out my tombstone. I want my tombstone to be really wide, so my family's going to have to pay for a huge headstone. Let's see. See if we got any comments coming in. Doesn't look like it. So let's see. Well, that humbling part. I've been focusing quite a bit on that. I think it's a very difficult thing to do, because I think there's a potential pitfall into the humbling aspect. If you are in a leadership position, at least if you are perceived as being too humble, that might also be conceived as too weak. Meaning that you're not able to make a decision, that you're deferring too much because, of whatever reason. I don't know if this is true. This is just, that's why it's a monologue. I'm just literally, there's no script. I'm just spitballing here, kind of just letting out my dialogue of thoughts and things that I've been thinking about. But I think there is that little bit of a potential pitfall in that you might be perceived as weak. And if you're perceived as weak, then how many people really want to follow you? People want to follow strong people, whether it be mental, physical, depending on whatever it is you're doing. They don't want to follow weak people. So I think there's a big difference between these two, in that when you make your statements, you should be confident in your belief, and instill the confidence in your team that they are able to disagree. I think that's how I go about it. I don't. I believe many things. One, I believe that we should just get rid of Microsoft Office 365, and everyone should be using G Suite for multiple reasons. One, Microsoft is overpriced. They want way too much money for their product, and Google is a much more reasonably priced, and I think it performs better in those cases. So, but I go, this is what I want. And I tell my people this all the time. Do not confuse what I want with reality. There's going to be plenty of things that I want to get done that are not capable of being done in the manner in which I want it to be done, or even partially. So how do we find that out? Well, we test. The results are where I go. So I'm confident in this is what the direction I want, but I'm more confident in that the people I get to work with on a day-to-day basis are going to perform the tests in a structured way, in a ethical way, in an unbiased way, that they're going to do so to really go, hey, is this going to work or not? And if it's not, I get to believe it. And if it is, I get to believe it. So I think that's how at least I check myself when it comes to those business decisions, because I'm doing many things. I'm always trying to put myself in a position to learn, and therefore I don't fail. I have to accept the null hypothesis more often than I would like, but that's okay because that's science. So I get the results. I check myself. I humble myself by allowing the test results to be the dictator as to which way I'm going to go, or dictate which way I'm going to go, not dictator. That's how I do it. And then I think there's another part, that the struggling with adversity. I think, and I really hate this term work-life balance. It really bothers me. It bothers me quite a bit. One, I think it just doesn't exist. People are saying it. It's a cliche term. Doesn't exist. You got 24 hours in a day. And however many that is in a week, a month, a year, whatever that is. That's how many hours you got. You can't get out of there. Everything balances. You can't get out of that. What I think people are really trying to is like, how much of their time and energy do they want to spend towards work or personal? Unless you work for yourself, it's really not going to be 50-50. But I think, especially with more and more people seeing that they can work remotely, they're still spending the same amount of time working, but now they're able to spend more quality time with their personal life. They don't have that other piece of fighting traffic, getting in the car, all of those other kind of things. And so now they're getting quality of life. And I think that's a much better term. We're looking for the best quality of life. And I truly believe that people want a purpose, and your personal life is not necessarily your purpose. I mean, maybe it might be, but I believe people, if they're happy and they're truly, if they're truly satisfied with their life, they have a purpose-driven profession that they get fulfillment out of, and they have a personal life that they're getting a different kind of fulfillment out of. Each one of those are necessary to support the other. To me, it is yin yang. Professional and personal development, growth, struggle. When you have it in one area, it feeds the other, and it just keeps going. So that's what I would suggest to each of you. Find some things that you can struggle with. Find some things that are going to provide, as a result of that struggle, is going to provide at least a 2% positive change in your world, and then keep on going. Don't stop. The moment you stop is when I feel like I'm going to die. Like retirement doesn't even sound like, I will never retire. I think that's like the worst word out there is retirement. Can't do it. It's not in me. I might slow down, but retirement, not going to happen. I plan on opening up a bunch of companies in my life, all hopefully right here in the Elkhart, Indiana area. At least that's the plan for now. We'll see what happens in the future. I'll give you all a quick little distillery update. We met with a distributor, really nice guy. Really enjoyed the conversation. He confirmed a lot of things that we were thinking about. Disappointing is not the right word. It confirmed that for now, way too many products, that we're going to go laser focus on some things, at least until our true grand opening to the public, which will be in March of 2023, roughly in there. So we're gonna focus on some uniqueness. So it'll probably just be focusing on. Now, I mean, I say this in a particular way because there's a difference of on-prem, off-prem. So off-prem is like someone going to a liquor store, grocery store, something like that, grabbing a bottle and going. Or if we were able to sell directly, which we can't at the moment, things would work. On-prem, bars, restaurants, things like that. Some of our stuff might work well there, that won't work well in off-prem because there's too many options. It's an example. Why would you buy our rum versus a rum from the Caribbean? I mean, I would say it's because, it's easy to like anyone can make rum. I mean, not legally because it's still a distilled spirit, but there's no the sugar cane in the Caribbean is no different than the sugar cane out of Louisiana. It's sugar. Some people, and if you don't know this, molasses is sugar. So you have to. All rum has to come from sugarcane of some type. Molasses coming from sugarcane, so not a big deal. There's a great place in South Carolina that all they do is make rum, and they are killing it. That is Swamp Fox Distillery out in South Carolina. Great people. So we're probably not going to focus so much on that. We'll do a bunch of sugar wash and let it sit. You can basically set indefinitely at like 150 proof, and then we'll decide what to do from there. But we're going to focus on our vodka. In this case, we'll only do flavored vodka, all natural flavored vodka, because it's basically we're doing it just like it would be a gin, except there's no juniper, and we're keeping it at 190 proof. So that and then whiskey. And so with that, we've decided definitely going to do another whiskey. We're going to have a couple of different kinds of whiskey, and we'll see what happens. There's your distillery update. Hope you all got something out of my message for today. I am going to be spending the next few days in like ice because I am still sore. I definitely did a number on myself, struggling through that workout yesterday and getting my belt. But it was fun. It was worth it. Now I get a whole new set of things to learn. Looking forward to it. So on Wednesday, we'll see him. I think the Ninja will be joining us, and one of my favorite returning guests, and my favorite person that was born in India, RB, will be joining us. Who knows what we'll talk about then? So until Wednesday, really appreciate you all tuning in. Of course, if you got topics you want us to discuss, hey, hit me up. Have a great day. Have a great Sunday. Have a great week. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care.